In the game of Elements, there are two ways to play the game. The first way is for 3 to 4 players, where you will each choose one of the available shaman, and the object of that game is to try to eliminate all the other shaman and become the Master Z. So each shaman will have their own board, along with a totem that matches that particular shaman. Then you will also gather the dice of your particular color, and you will go ahead and start battling each other. So let me go ahead and grab one of the boards and get it set up and show you how that works. So I have grabbed the blue shaman here, who is the water shaman, ElemenZ. So you'll grab his player board and as well as his totem board. And then you're going to grab all of his dice. Now each of the different shaman have dice that represent them as best they can. So ElemenZ's dice are of course these blue dice, and the blue dice are going to have 2 sides on them that represent his element. All of the shaman will have 2 facing sides of their dice that match their particular element. So in this case he has the 2 water ones. You're going to have 3 sides that are going to have the other shaman's elements, because you're going to use those for your different spells. And then you're going to have a side that has the wild Z on there. Now the Z can be used in place of another element as long as you have an element that you're duplicating in that. So you're going to go ahead and grab all 7 of your dice, and when you start off the game you're going to go ahead and place 2 onto your shield. So you automatically start off with some shields in the beginning of the game. Now, if you are the final player in the round, so if you're only playing with 3 people, if you're the 3rd player, if you're playing with 4 players, if you're the 4th player, you go ahead and you get a bonus die onto your shields. That way people don't try to beat you up first off in the game. You take the rest of your dice and you place those off to the side. Then on your totem board, out of this little bag, you're going to pull some random chips. And these will normally be face down, but I have them face up just so you can see what they are. And you'll place them on these 4 circular spots right here on the totem board. Now, these are tokens that you can use throughout the game for free. If they have one of the element symbols on them, you can use them as if that is a die of that face. The +1 will allow you to heal a die. So if you have a die taken away from you, you can go ahead and heal that. And this symbol right here means that you get to take a die from one of your opponents. Once these are used, you can plug your dice into this board to try to refresh those skills and get some of them back. So how you will play in a round is whoever is the first player, or when it becomes your turn, you're going to take all of your dice that are currently on the board and the dice that are still in your hand, and you're going to go ahead and roll them all. So you can't leave dice on particular things if you want to. Unfortunately, that's just not something you can do. So we will go ahead and we will roll all of these up, and we will see what we get. So I got 2 of my water symbols. I have 2 of the wild Z's, and then I have 3 of the earth element. So there are different things that you can do. If I wanted to try to attack one of my opponents, I can place 1, 2, or 3 onto the strike to be able to try to strike them. So it'll be the dice here versus however many dice they have on their shield. Or I can try to cast one of these other spells. If I wanted to, I could probably do this colossal wave right here. So I can use 2 of these, and I could use 2 of these earth elements, and that will cause one of my opponents to lose 2 dice. I could also do an ice storm if I wanted to, or I can try to do as many of these things as I possibly want to do. I can also add stuff to my shield. I can also put dice here to heal. Now, Hey, sorry I had to pop in here because I mentioned surges, but don't even talk about it when I was explaining the game. So with surges, if you happen to roll 3 Z symbols, or if all the dice that you roll happen to end up on your opposing symbol, so for example with this, the blue player, if they happen to roll all air symbols, that will stop the re-rolling for the rest of that player's turn. Now, also, I didn't mention re-rolling because you get up to 3 rolls when you are rolling your dice out. So you don't have to stick with what you get on that first roll. You can put some aside and re-roll some, but you can re-roll all of those dice up to 3 times. I can put 2 of these dice here, and I can put a Z here. Let's flip that Z the right way. And the Z will duplicate one of the dice I have out. So I'd be wave, wave, and the Z counts as a wave. Now I could not put a wave here, and this is asking for an air element. I couldn't put a Z here to represent the air element since I don't already have an air element die out into that spell. So that would not be allowed. It has to duplicate a die that is currently being used in that particular spell. So you will use your strike abilities or you use your other abilities to attempt to take away dice from your opponents. When your opponent has no die, they are out of the game. So that is how the 3-player kind of works. Now in the 2-player game, it works a little bit differently. In the 2-player game, what you will do is each player will take a set of monoliths that complement each other. So it'll either be the air and water or the fire and earth. Each player will take 3 of each color, so 3 of the white dice or clear dice and 3 of the blue dice, or with the fire and earth shaman, you're going to have the red and green dice. So on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to roll all the dice that you have in hand. So let's go ahead and roll for the red and green players here. And this is actually a pretty good roll for them. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to either make it so that your opponent can no longer create combos, or you're trying to power up your particular monolith. So to power up the monolith is you're going to put in these dice combos. Well, if you look at this bottom combo in both of these, you don't have enough dice to be able to plug in everything in the very beginning of the game, so you're going to have to figure out how to gain some more dice. So looking here, what can we do here? I can start powering up my monolith if I want to put stuff into this top row here, but note these ones that are colored in are locked in. So if I do put, let's just say we go ahead and put these dice right here, the next time we re-roll, those 2 dice are now locked into the monolith and cannot be re-rolled unless we use one of our combos over here. So we have this combo right here. So if you use 1 of each, I can unlock 1 die from my monolith if needed. But if I'm able to fill up the monolith with all the required die, I will have powered that up. And there are different spaces that'll do some different things. For example, this side, if I use 3 of my fire dice, so I do happen to have 3 dice, I have an option. I can take a die from the die pool, or I can go ahead and take away a die from one of my opponents. So I can say, like, oh, guess what? Now you don't have that die anymore. And they'll have to hopefully roll their combo to get some of those dice back. And there are different things that you can do. With this one, if you roll the Z's, you'll lock that die, unfortunately, for that roll, and it won't be able to be used for anything else. But that is the 2-player game of ElemenZ. Now, both games actually come with a little mini expansion. So it has these little things that you can use, and they work kind of like the totems do, but they're a single use, and they'll give you an effect that you can use with any die.
Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. Pull up a chair at punchboardmedia.com.
So that was just a really brief look at ElemenZ. This is a really cool game. The 3 to 4 player game, I should say, is pretty interesting because you got to use that strategy and figure out what you want to do to try to eliminate your opponents while keeping your own integrity and keeping your own stuff, still kind of doing that little bit of momentum. The 2-player game plays a lot differently because you're balancing these 2 different elements and trying to figure out how to get the dice you need and how to prevent your opponent from getting the dice that they need. So in a little tug of war. That's actually how the game creator explained it, and that's really how definitely the 2-player feels. Of course, a 3-player is a little bit more strategic and just trying to figure out how to knock out all of your different opponents. But this game is on Kickstarter right now. It only has a few more days left to go. It is already funded. I believe all of the stretch goals have been reached. If I was incorrect there, I apologize. But if you want to check out ElemenZ, down below I'm going to have a link for their Kickstarter so you can go ahead and check it out before it ends. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and help support Cloak and Meeple. On my next screen is my Patreon. Please go and check that out. I would really appreciate if you would go ahead and donate to Cloak and Meeple to help get some better equipment and some more stuff so that way we can share some more amazing games with you. And thanks for watching.